Hi, How To Festival 2021. This is Legible Graffiti, where I'm going to show you how to do three-dimensional graffiti letters from flat writing. We'll take something similar to this and we'll have fun with it based on flat shapes that we'll sculpt into 3D. Like even your logo. How To Festival 2021. Welcome. We're going to turn 2D into 3D using Legible Graffiti. Looking at your logo, if we were to drop it down to just the letters themselves and the outline of the shape, we could create something like this based off of the design. Now what we're kind of doing is something where we take the letters, and here we'll look at just the How To Festival and the outline, and we pair it off and we find an angle. In this case, our angle was right about right there from the height of these letters, which we would call the face of our flat design. Now, if we were taking just the letters themselves, we could probably do something like this off of those letters using that kind of a height. So that it would look like this, and the outline shape of that. When you put them together, you have something really interesting. Or we could go the other way, just using the outline and going into it. So it almost looks like a cookie cutter. For more designs like that, you can look at my Legible Graffiti YouTube channel. Just type in Legible Graffiti and make sure there's a space between the two words on the YouTube search engine, and you'll find more stuff by me doing Legible Graffiti. Now when we show it for a how-to design, we're basically taking the outer shapes and duplicating them again and again and again. As you can see, with LG 3D, a light source is definitely the key to this type of 3D. Because what you're doing is you're taking your shape and you're pairing it to your design so that it's three-dimensional. With Legible Graffiti 3D Made Easy, you're going to need some supplies. You're going to need a light board, markers, and paper. For the light board, you're going to want to be able to use it so that you could see through the paper, whether it's lined paper or blank paper. You want to pick some kind of paper that you could see through, and it doesn't have to necessarily be tracing paper. I use Xerox paper. For markers, they could be permanent markers, they could be highlighters, they could be Crayolas. They could even be crayons and colored pencils. If you do use permanent markers, I would recommend when you're using your light board that you use some kind of clear transparency sheet so that it saves your light board from getting all the stray marks from permanent markers that might not come off. So I use a clear transparency sheet to protect my light board so I can get a lot of uses out of it. For markers, again, permanent or watercolor, even highlighters work great. And lots of paper, whether it's a full sheet, a half sheet, or even a quarter sheet. I use these for practice. A light source is key with legible graffiti. Using a light source like this, a light box or a light board, or you could also use a window. We're gonna make legible graffiti. LG 3D made easy. Again, the supplies you're gonna need are a light board, markers, and paper. Lots and lots of paper. And we're gonna do something like this, where we're gonna take a shape. In this case, they're letters, and we're gonna replicate it again and again and again. So we could start off with something like this, a simple basic font. And when we copy the original onto another sheet of paper, we're gonna make something kind of like this, where we're gonna be able to use, in this case, the green represents the original drawing, and the simple and the basic and 3D kind of cookie cutter setup just shows the interplay between the two. Because really with something like this, if we're just doing the basic letters, we're looking at something like that. So, if we're going to use something like this, I want to take the M and the E from simple, and the M and the E from the basic letters, and we're going to play with it. I have a transparency screen that's going to protect my light board from these other pieces of paper and pen stray marks. So what we do once we have our letters set up, using this, we'll say this is our original right now. We've made a copy. We've traced this stuff onto a separate sheet of paper so that they look the same. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play with it. We're going to find an angle, and we're going to kind of sculpt it in 3D on paper. So let's start with the little letters first. Let's line them back up, and we're going to do the M on the left. And let's find an angle that we like. Actually, I do like that angle right there. And then it's just like a three-dimensional dot to dot. I'm going to connect the copy to the original. And the original we'll see in kind of a gray underneath it on our light box. And hopefully we can see that, because already we started lining it up. And what I'm doing right now is I'm checking to make sure that it does line up. Let me just move it back to our angle and finish up. Because right now I'm following the original. So that's the original lines. And then I'll go back to the angles that we started doing. We're going to connect that one to here. We have an obstruction with this portion of the letter, so when we go from this corner to this corner, we're going to have to stop. If we go through, we're going to make it transparent. And for this, we don't really want to do that just yet. Now when we light it back up, there's our 3D letter. I think this portion will come down like that. Yeah, right like that. So that one's done. Now we can do the E. And since we have the M going off this way, let's do the E going off in a different direction. Let's go this way. So this is our angle. All of our lines are going to go like this, and we don't need to go to this beam because we would make it transparent. We want to keep it solid, so we're just going to follow along with this one. And this whole area right in here would be solid, so we will not connect up there. But we will connect this part to that part. And we can still follow this right there. We will connect this part to this part right here, and then follow the original line over. And this is the last part. Now we have our E, so we can line it back up. We know that all of our direction lines are following that arrow. Like for the M, the direction arrow would be that way. Now we have the block letters up here that we can play with. The nice thing about doing legible graffiti, once you have your light source, please know that you have 360 different angles you can play with. Not just one, not just two, or not three, but 360. If we do a 45-degree angle, which is right about right there, or we do the 90-degree angle, which is right there, that's just two angles. We've got so many of them. If we want it straight across, we could go this way and just move the line straight across. Or we could do it straight up and down. So what we've done is just connected corner to corner along our design. For some of them, we've had to stop, like right here inside the crevices of the E. You're not going to go all the way through unless it's transparent. Now, if we do a transparent letter, this is just going to take a bit of time to copy it down. If we do a transparent letter, all it is you're going through it. Make sure that every corner matches up. And with all these lines, it can look confusing because again, you're going through everything. You should have the full shape of the E represented twice, and then you'll have all these little diagonal lines cutting through it. The benefit of this type of technique is you'd be able to see both sides. Like we do know what this side looks like, but we don't know what this side looks like. So if we drew it one more time, and when doing legible graffiti, copying the original, making a duplicate is probably the longest part of the process. Finding an angle and then blocking it into 3D is relatively easy. So here we have the two different ways that we can see this E kind of represented with this one, because we have one E here and the other E there. So the first one, and then this one will be this side, and this one will be this side if we put them together. Now let's play with the M. We can find a different angle. Let's use that one right there. For this part, the little piece right here of the M and the leg kind of follow the same diagonal, so you could either reshift it to find a different one so that they both stand out, or if you don't mind that they follow the same line, just keep them together. And then you realign it back on your frame, or what I call the frame. I call the letter by itself the face, like on a clock. And then this type of stuff would be construction art and 3D frameworks. Now, if we want to do a cast shadow for it, or some kind of a shadow beneath it, we could just continue to use the letter itself kind of like a stencil. Add some lines to it. Maybe something in the middle. There, we've got some 3D. Definitely practice your techniques. You're gonna wanna definitely show what you can do with it. Going from something simple and replicating it in 3D. Practice, practice, practice. Practice some more. Follow my YouTube channel, Untitled Graffiti on YouTube. Blocks and bubbles. Have a nice fun layout with your designs. Everything does really start with the letter itself, and then how you play around with it will determine what fun you can have with your designs. Thank you for watching Legible Graffiti. Enjoy.